Good morning and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. We are live. Today is 9/11/2023. 9/11, Bender. We've seen a few 9/11s. Let's make this one a great one. How's that sound?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah, I'm with that one.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some the important news over the weekend. The Texas Longhorns, to lead off, did extraordinarily well against Bama in Tuscaloosa, notching out a win, big win, massive win, one of the biggest losses Nick Saban has faced at home in his entire coaching career. This was done. In addition to this, Aggie does what Aggie does and sucks big, massive dick, going down to Coral Gables and taking it in the poop chute. That's the important news from the weekend. All right.
I don't watch college football, but how about it seems like CU is gonna be a thing this year.
Yeah, they are definitely going to be a thing. It's like when you got a quarterback and you've got an all-world player at corner, you have a chance to win some games, and they definitely have a chance to win some games. It's neat to watch. It's like Dion was always just an incredible player, and then now, coaching, you can't take anything away from him. He's really good. Don't have to like him. But you do have to respect the job that he's doing. All right, so Tesla got a big upgrade this morning, up nicely. Apple has its event tomorrow, I believe, and those who did not cover last week are covering now. So we're getting a nice move up on Apple. Still 10 points off where it was at some point last week, I believe. Data is fairly sparse this week. For some reason, I thought the Fed announcement was this week. It's actually next week, at least if the calendar that I'm looking at is correct. So without a lot of data, I think we don't get Fed speakers either. This is going to be about the charts, Bender. That's going to be the story. Mine, it's a headline. So why don't you do us a little walk, if you don't mind?
All right, let's do it. Let me get this screen share going here.
Oh, did I say that Aggie took it in the poop chute?
You did.
I did.
You did.
Said that Aggie
several times.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
In several different ways, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. If anybody needs clarification on Aggie, just let me know, please.
All right. Man, I'm going to try to stay awake for this entire day. We had a birthday party Friday night and had quite a few drinks for that. And then Saturday night wedding and lots of drinks for that. We all ended up in the pool with our clothes on, like parents, great. Like everybody was in the freaking pool. It was kind of crazy. Long night of drinking, which means that last night I didn't sleep. I went through that whole like mini withdrawal phase. So good times. All right. Let's go through.
You might have a problem if.
Yeah, maybe, there's certain times that I do actually question it. That I'm like, do I have a problem?
I might have a problem if.
And then I'm like, nah. All right. Let's start with the daily, so we can see where these lines are coming from. What you'll see here, these orange lines, you can see this daily candle right here. There's the fair value gap. This is the top of it up here. Again, we're looking at the September contract. Top of it, 44.96.25. And the bottom of that daily fair value gap down there at 44.49.25. So that's where those lines come from. The other thing to point out is that from this high, what was that? September 1st, down to the low that we put in 2 days ago. The midpoint of that comes in right here, 44.91. And when I zoom in, let's go to a 15-minute, you will see that this high to this low, half of that's 44.91, right? From this high to this low, the midpoint, 44.92 half. So you've got two price legs here that the midpoints are both in that 44.91, 44.92, right in there. So that's going to be important, and it comes in just below the top of that daily fair value gap, right? So I expect that, we might see some resistance in here. You can see the top of that daily fair value gap, support here, and then acted as resistance in this consolidation area before falling further. So this sort of zone in here might get a little tricky, might be a little messy if we continue to push up here. So something to look out for. This blue dotted line was the top of the 60-minute fair value gap. I'm going to take this off the chart. Don't really need it anymore now that we're kind of pulled through it. Now, if this candle were to wick and we pull back down under it, okay, maybe we get a little bit more pullback off the top of that fair value gap, but it looks like we're going to power on through it. So again, this 91 to 92 area, certainly, head on a swivel right in there. And then the top of that daily fair value gap, 44.96.25. If we get through that, this box here that I have, chop zone, right? If we go to a 15-minute, you can see a lot of back and forth right in there. So there may be some on the way up. There may be some chop in this area. The top of that box being 45.20 and a half. And then you got this little 45.31 and then 47.75. As far as downside, let's go back to the 60-minute and we'll talk about kind of where we just came from, right? Didn't quite take out this low down here, that 44.33.25. Kind of had our eyes on that. If you remember last week, right when we crossed this low was where we took it long, right in here. Never quite made it here, but as we talked about before, the ES didn't take this out, NQ didn't. I think Dow was the only one that did. And now we are pushing up. If you look at these 60-minute candles, that reversal happened right in here, right? And now the trajectory is north. So at this point, if we were to come down, you can see kind of these candles in here, very one-sided. If we go back to the 15-minute, you can see where that London session low comes in. At this point, if we were to break below, what's that, about 10 handles? Let's say if we were to break below 73.5 and not reclaim it pretty quick, then you can look for that London low. If that doesn't reclaim pretty quick, then we're looking at filling some of this stuff in. And I'm going to put a line right here. 59.25. So if it starts pushing this direction, this is where your stops are sitting. Right at that 44.60 level. And that could start, that gets taken out and that can start a little bit of a
It's interesting because it's like
spill.
the baseline pivot is 44.61. Or 44.61 is a baseline pivot. So it's interesting that all that lines up. R3 is also that area at 44.96. Again, very interesting how all that lines up.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
Yep. My lean currently is that we probably continue to push this week, early this week. Again, that momentum has shifted. Friday was kind of messy, but ultimately what Friday did do was we've got green daily candles on ES, NQ, and the Dow. and I think we have a chance to now push. Going back to the daily, you can see this green box right here marks that volume imbalance in here. There's a gap that sits in here, like a regular trading hours gap that sits up in here. I could see us pushing over the next couple of days over that 45, 60, 75, potentially into 4,600.
And we do have witches this week,
All
correct?
goes well. We do, and that's part of it, right? Is that we've got all the witches in town this week, and as you called out a few minutes ago, that Apple up nicely pre-market. Maybe we get some covering into some of those names that sold off a little bit, and that can kind of accelerate,
The
move back
Apple
up.
story is definitely going to be an interesting one to see how far and where they want to take it with this cover out, because we're all accustomed to Apple running like a psycho going into events, right?
And then selling off after a lot
And
of time.
selling off after. And this time around, look, Apple's Apple. Apple has plenty of time to be, close to 190 before that event starts, because it's Apple. It can do that.
Sure.
Especially with some capitulation from Bear over there. If they start getting nervous, that thing can move. I think the other piece of it, Bender, is the dollar is noticeably cooler this morning. Noticeably cooler, and it's
Yeah.
looking like it's in the middle of a bear flag sitting here on the 1 hour, like right in the middle of it. So the question is where does that grab traction with such limited data this week? Really, really wild when you start adding some of these pieces together.
The other thing is, we saw, and I had brought this up last week, but we saw, UVXY and the VIX. We saw this stuff coming down last week. I think, going into OPEX, this probably continues a bit lower as insurance kind of peels off, getting closer to that OPEX. Does Meta report this week?
I don't think so. I think Adobe might report this week.
Okay.
I don't think Meta does. That'd be
Okay. Oh yeah, that wouldn't make a lot of sense. Let's see.
yeah. I'm pretty sure. Adobe
Yeah, no,
reports this
it's
week.
got. I don't know why. For some reason, again, brain broke this morning. Some reason I woke up going, "Does Meta?" Like, I don't know why I had that in my head, but yeah, obviously not. Okay,
Adobe's
so we'll have
report-
to keep an eye on ERs, see who else reports.
Yeah.
You got Adobe on the list. I'll check and see who else we might have. But that's about it. That's about all I got.
Very good. Stonkington, paging the Stonkington.
Oh, yes, I am here. Whew, awake. Let's do this. We got stuff to look at, charts. Here we go. Do some sharing. Let's see what we got. All right. Here we go.
I think we don't we also have like a semiconductor conference or something like that going on this week?
I believe so.
I think that there's some type of deal with that semi companies getting together. Sorry, but please go ahead.
Yeah, no, let's see. Let's go. Yeah, ERs. Yeah, ERs are quiet. Oracle today, Adobe. I don't really see anyone else. Cracker Barrel, if you're into Cracker Barrel. Everything else looks pretty weak. All right.
It's too early to be racist. Please pull it together.
Too early for anything over here. Let's see. So here's the cues with nothing on it. We talked about Friday that this was a potential smash burger to the upside, with the stop being, which we did break. So when we broke yesterday's high, that would have got Mr. Larry Williams in long on Friday, and his stop would be right there at yesterday's low. So that was that's the setup there on the cues, that potentially long setup with a stop at the low from the 7th. Similarly, if we jump over to IWM, let's see, that one didn't break, but would have been break that high, and then we already broke the low. And then I've got this kind of head and shoulders thing, not looking too great over there on the IWM. If we jump over to, we can get into the NASDAQ. We'll break down the one with all the markup here on it. September contract again. And let's see what we've got. So we had a daily fair value gap that was the high of this candle up and through the low of that one, which we've already run. We also had this little volume imbalance that's already run through that. Down below, we had the new week opening gap right there. And then if we go way down, we've got the low of this candle to the high of that candle. That's the daily fair value gap there. If we drill down a little bit, 4 hour left this gap, and then this level here would fill that gap, 15,460.50. So that would be first upside target if we continue here. And then we've got this order block type line, a lot of reactions up there at that 15,584.25, something definitely going on up there. We'll see if we get there. So that's kind of what I'm looking for over there on NASDAQ. Russell looking pretty sketchy as well, similar to IWM with the big head and shoulders look to it, left shoulder, head, right shoulder over here. If we check out the daily. So for lines below, the daily keeps closing above this level, this 1850.2. So that's going to be kind of the oh shit line for me. If we close below that, that's going to be a downside signal. We had a tiny daily fair value gap that we've already ran with the 4 hour closing above here on the Russell, 1867.9. And then if we keep running to the upside, we've got this daily fair value gap would be the high of this candle to the low of this one, filling up there at 1882.2. So that's kind of what we've got on the Russell, not looking great with that big head and shoulders, so we'll see. What else? I looked at you guys talked about the dollar. The dollar has not had a red candle in 8 straight weeks, which is notable. So that was an interesting one to see, which had me looking at gold. And gold was interesting. I took a loss on gold on Friday. So gold had been making some nice moves to the upside, and I didn't have this chart up where I had that daily fair value gap when I was looking, and you could see the high from the other day was exactly at the bottom of that fair value gap. And then, it was uptrending throughout the day, which was, I was trying to play a reversal for back up. And once it rejected that fair value gap there, it was just a straight sell. If we zoom out here, let's see on gold. So with the dollar with 8 straight green candles on the weekly, gold looking a little bit weaker. And then if we zoom in here, we kind of have a little bit of a head and shoulders, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. So this is the oh shit line on gold. If we get a close below that 1940.2, if we're going to push to the upside, this will be an upside target there up at 1960.7. Other than that, I've got some alerts that we had weekly inside bars on Tesla, Nvidia. Rivian had an interesting one. That'll be a good one to keep an eye on. We have alerts that'll pop. Just take a quick look at Rivian. It looked bullish to me. Here's the weekly inside bar with the alerts that we'll get. So breakouts to the upside. This looks like maybe like some kind of flag building out over there on Rivian. We've got fibs drawn from that high to that low, and you can see they came in and buyers stepped in at the 0.5 fib. And that's all I got. Anything else, we'll get alerts that pop in the room, and we'll kind of go from there.
Perfect. Hells?
Yeah, no, I was talking. I was on mute. Anyways, yeah, no, I don't know what to say, Bender, other than be nimble. Seems like we have a fairly docile and boring looking setup, in my opinion.
I think we'll see what happens. I think the next the next 2 days can be, some nice moves to the upside. I was just looking at the calendar. We get inflation expectations at 10 a.m. Central, and then we have PPI, I think, on Wednesday.
It's very light this week.
All the inflation data, I think, actually comes out on Wednesday.
Yeah. Should be interesting. It's like I think you're right. We do get a move to the upside, but I think for me the reason why I say that is like trend days are the worst for me, man. Trend days can be very very messy. So I'm kind of like, oh, looks like a trend day.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and start speaking up because I love the trend day. So I'll try and be a
I
little
just
bit
can't
louder.
stand them, man. It's like they drive me nuts. They really really do. It's like I think I prefer chop more than
Well, chop is
trend.
probably easier when you're over there hitting the button like you're, trying to play a fucking game on your cell phone.
Tell
Tap,
me
tap,
this
tap,
shit
tap.
is not a fucking video game. Tell me it's not a video game. It's like it is a video game.
With real consequence.
Correct. Correct. It's what we all
Yeah.
dreamed about as kids. It's like, can I play a game that gives me money? Yes, you can, as a matter of fact. All right.
There you have it.
What, 17 minutes until open?
Yep.
Let's get comfortable. Let's be smart. We'll see you soon.
See ya.
All right. See you in a few.